Okay, y'all, welcome to the reunion for season 1 of the NMB Celebrity Survivor Challenge. We have half of our cast here. There's, I believe, 2 more people logging in. Nick has lost power. I'm not sure where we're storming here in Horry County, but hopefully he's able to log in here shortly. So first, I want to again thank everybody for competing and their fundraising efforts. I do want to let you know, Cam, we had a long conversation. Cam here is our editor. He has edited the overwhelming majority of the series, and he has done an amazing job. And so we're some of the other people here that didn't compete but volunteered will have a chance to ask y'all some questions too. But a few things. I want to update everyone. We had a huge jump in the very first episode. The past couple weeks, it's been right at 1,000 views, but all of a sudden, we're now almost at 5,000. I know you said 4,000, but we're actually almost at 5,000. This morning, we were at 4.6 thousand views. So we are, they keep going up. Oh, Nick's here. They keep going up, and so hopefully more people will get to see it, and it's been going pretty well so far. Season 2, as I told some of the people already, season 2 is still going through the confirmation stage. We're trying to see what works best for everyone at River Island. But if you know anybody in the area, particularly that wants to compete or you think would be a good fit, let me know and I can reach out to them. And first I want to go over the fundraising leaderboard. We didn't really talk a whole lot about it. We did give Cindy an standing ovation with her fundraising efforts at the final tribal council. Cindy, I'm trying to find my page here. Cindy raised over $1,200 $200 by herself. Cindy's not here, but we'll, in her memory here tonight, we will clap for her. Again, in the top 3, it ended up being Cindy, Brooke S, and Nick was our top 3 fundraisers. So congratulations, but it was all pretty close there. But Cindy did a great job, and that's why she had 80 billion advantages. And so in case anybody was wondering, but so we're going to go into our fan favorite vote. We had a pretty close, I'm going to reveal the top 4 because the top 4 was a pretty close race here. The top 4 vote getters, and every week I sent y'all who was in the lead. That's why y'all were talking about it earlier in the group chat that I aggravate y'all in. I did continue to update y'all. But our top 4 people for the fan favorite vote was Cindy, Brooke S, Brooke V, and Matt. And in 4th place was Cindy with 17.4% of the votes. Brooke S, you were 3rd place with 17.9% of the votes. And it was a very close between Matt and Brooke. Matt, you are the fan favorite this season. Congratulations. Matt, you got 26.6% of the votes. Brooke, you got 23.9% of the votes. So it was very close there. So moving on, I'm going to ask y'all, I'm going to jump around from different people. These are going to be similar to like the final, I think everybody in here except Harrison was at the final tribal council. So I just want to go more in depth a little bit with some of the questions that I found particularly interesting that were not asked at the final tribal council. And I'll just go in order of the boot order. So I'll start with Allie. Allie, after, I'm not sure if you're caught up on all the episodes or whatever, but after watching what you've seen, how do you feel about your win? Do you feel that you deserved it, or were you surprised ultimately to find out you won it?
I mean, yeah, I'm surprised that I won. I wasn't going into it expecting it. I just wanted to go out and have a good time. I wanted to, joke around and show my personality, like the clip that you guys saw where I was like, oh my God, we've been out here for 18 days. You know, Allie, it's only been 5 minutes. No, it hasn't. You know, that clip in particular, I just wanted to show my personality through it. But yeah, no, I wasn't expecting to win. My competitive nature took over, and, you know, I wanted to win the individual challenges and win our team challenges as much as possible, which I was fortunate enough to do as much as we could. But beyond that, you know, if I'm being completely honest, when I did my shady sided, you know, thing where I went through Cindy's bag, I really thought that was going to be the moment where everything turned for me. And I thought when I gave Gabby the immunity necklace and she used that and stayed in, I thought once she won the challenge and ended up making fire, I thought she was going to win it, if I'm going to be completely honest. And I would have been completely okay with that because I thought she did a great job and played an amazing game. I thought everyone played an amazing game, but I did not expect it by any means. But I'm very happy, and I could not be any more thankful for, you know, having the opportunity to play and to meet the people that I did, because it was a great experience, and I hope it's something that I can, you know, come back and do again.
You're muted, buddy.
No.
Thank you. So you did just touch about Cindy's bag, and you talked about it a lot, especially when Cindy asked her jury question. You mentioned that you regretted going through her bag, but looking back, do you still really regret that decision, or do you stand by your move and think it was necessary for your game?
No, I mean, it's definitely part of the game to, you know, unfortunately the sneakiness can be a part of the game, but in all reality, I don't think it really did anything for us. You know, we found out what she had, but I don't know. I really don't know. I don't want to tell you one way or the other to say definitively that yes, it did, or yes, it, you know, no, it didn't, because I don't know that it really made a difference either way. I could assume that she had the immunity, or at least one, but I didn't know which of the other 2 or 3 other types of advantages she could have had, and that's why I attempted to do what I did to find out what the other advantages that she would have had. You know, with Survivor changing in recent years and the other advantages coming into play aside from just immunity, that's where I was trying to find out, you know, what could have been in play and things like that. But you know, I think that has definitely weighed on me as a person outside of the game, because it's not something that I would normally do, and it's not the type of person that I am. So that's where I kind of struggled with it and say that, you know, do I regret it? Yeah, morally as a person I do, but in the game, that's where I toss it up, because I don't know if it really made that much of an impact. So I really don't know. I can't give you a definitive yes or no answer, because I don't really know. It doesn't sit with me, but I don't know that it made a huge yes or no like turn in the game.
Okay. Now one more question for you. I think this was what interested me the most when at the final tribal council is you were the only person who made the jury phase of the game that won multiple individual immunity challenges, and you won 3, and it wasn't talked about much at the final tribal council that you were this competition threat. Did you ever think that people perceived you as a physical threat with your immunity wins? And why do you think it wasn't talked about as much as we might usually see in the show?
You know, I don't know. It really wasn't talked about at all. That's a good question, because I don't know if it really was perceived all the way across that I was or not. Deep down in my mind, I knew that I was going to be, no matter what we did, because that's just a part of my nature in everything that I do, no matter if it's, you know, making a puzzle, or if it's, you know, making a poster for a class or something like that. I'm going to do the best that I possibly can in anything that I do. And I knew going into these challenges and into this event that I was going to try and do the best that I possibly could and put forth the most effort that I possibly could. but I don't know. I don't know why it wasn't discussed. I don't know that it was really felt that I was that much of a threat. I don't know. That's a good question. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to answer it, Shaw. I really don't.
Okay. Well, thank you. All right, so we're going to move on to Brooke Smith. So going into this game, you had a lot of connections, and it seemed that a good portion of them were on your tribe. Were you surprised when you made it to the end that you only received one vote? Did that surprise you that you didn't get more of a shot? Or did you expect you not to win?
I mean, I think maybe a little bit, but I don't know. With Allie winning the individual challenges, she really showed out with that. That's really all I can go on. I don't know, like, besides that, I feel like I did a lot of good things throughout the game that a lot of people didn't see or we talked about, but and it was kind of my fault for not bringing those things up at the end. And that's just me not knowing the game as well as probably other people like Nick and Allie and Sandra. Like, you guys knew the game a lot better than I did, obviously. So I mean, yeah, I was a little shocked. Maybe I thought maybe I'd get one or two more possibly in that. So why didn't y'all vote for me, huh? Where y'all at? I'm just
So now I've talked with you about this, but I want you to be able to give a chance for when the viewers watch this to you explain your side. One of the biggest moves in the game that no one talked about at all, and it is what it is. And a lot of people, I mean, it was the end of the first day. It was when Chris was voted out. There was this big question mark on how did Chris go home? And I'm sure, I mean, we all, I would assume, know this by now. There was an advantage, still a vote advantage played by Brooke. Brooke took Matt's vote. Matt voted for Allie, and Brooke cast Matt's vote for Chris, which caused Chris to go home, which was a pretty big move on Brooke's part that was not talked about at all. So why did you not speak about that move at Final Tribal Council? And if you would have, do you think that could have helped you a little bit?
Well, I don't think until you watch the actual show, you don't even know who all voted for who, because not everybody was honest about it. So, you know, we don't really know if it was, yeah, Nick, I saw those eyes. So we didn't really know who voted for who. So at that point, I didn't even know how much of a difference my vote made at that point. So yeah, that whole thing, I mean, at that point, we were all kind of scattered all over the place. Matt had kind of went sideways on us and did something and made a big move. I mean, if you think about it, he almost took out the winner, which was pretty good. But luckily, with me backing up Allie in that situation, it ended up saving her through that. So I guess I didn't make a big deal because I didn't really know at the time exactly how much I did save her in that situation.
Gotcha. Nick, did you want to say something before I keep going?
I was just gonna say, I think if you didn't steal, obviously Allie would have gone, but I think it was so hard in the moment. There were so many things that happened so quick that people lost track of what was happening. So I can totally understand, Brooke, why you wouldn't have even thought like, oh my God, this saved her. Also, after it happened, there were a million different things going around in terms of what was the actual truth. Sorry. But I think that kind of threw things off, and you didn't even realize what had actually happened, because by the time we realized, it was like, okay, on to the next thing. And we spent the whole night trying to figure out who voted for who, and there were a million things thrown out that were untrue. Sorry. But yeah. Also, I'm sorry for my video, y'all. My power is out in my house. I'm like trying to relive this whole experience for some reason. So I'm sitting outside with like 2% battery left on my phone. I'm probably gonna go in a minute, but I wanted to make sure I got on and said hello. And hopefully my power will come back on. I'm sitting here with like a little lantern. So.
All right. Well, before you go, if you need to, let me ask you the question I had for you. So, had you won the fire making challenge, which
Why you gotta bring that up? I probably should make a fire right now. I know how to do it.
had you won the fire making challenge, how do you think the final tribal council would have played out if you were in the final three?
Oh, obviously I would have won. No, I don't know. I think it would have been really interesting because the final three, right? Like you three all came in as an alliance before you started. You kind of had like a connection. I think I would have been the only one who wasn't a part of that group. So I think I might have got some votes for that. I think there were some other people on the jury that I would have got some votes for. I know only one individual immunity challenge, but I think I played it pretty strong, was connected to a lot of people. I also know that if I had won that, I would have done my best to make sure that Brooke S wasn't coming with me, because I know she wouldn't have voted. I would have made sure she came with me so that she wasn't on the jury. Right? I would have, because I know I wouldn't have had her vote. There were several people on the jury that probably would have voted for me. I think I would have had Sandra's vote for sure. I'm trying to think. I don't know. It probably still wouldn't have worked out at the end. I might have had Chris's vote. I don't know if I had Brooke v. Cindy, probably not. But
Right,
maybe
Charles.
I might have had. I don't know. Nobody knew what Charles was doing. I don't think Charles knew what he was doing. He was just thinking out loud the whole time. And then, oh God,
Very
there's
loud.
bugs out here. I'm back on the island. I don't know. It would have depended on who was there, but I think it would have been close. I would have had a shot.
All right. Well, Cam, why don't you go ahead and ask your question to Nick while he's still here?
I do have a question. As someone that edited this and got to see a lot of the footage and got to see some journeys that maybe some of y'all didn't witness because you weren't a part of all the conversations, Nick, the only thing, everyone was like, play this game like so positively. The only thing that ever irked me when watching this is when you told Brooke S that she didn't do anything in the game. Because I think if you watch these episodes back, everyone was talking about the fact that Brooke was like running this ish. So I felt like that was weird that you said she didn't do anything, especially because like earlier you made a vote where you said she was your biggest competition. Like you literally in the confessional said she's my biggest threat, and then you tried to vote her out. So how does that make sense if she's your biggest threat, but she didn't do anything?
Sure. Great question. So part of that, honestly, everything you're saying is spot on. Like I definitely did view her as a threat. If you look at the vote, Sandra and I voted for her.
Yeah.
Like two tribals in a row. We were trying to get rid of her. I think part of the reason I even asked the question was because I wanted to hear her actually brag on herself. I wanted to kind of get out of her. So it's a little bit kind of like a reverse psychology. Like instead of saying like, tell me why you were amazing, I said, I don't think you did anything. So tell me what you did. I mean, I wasn't trying to be like a jerk about it. I'm sure it came across that way. I'm not that type of person. I'm a pretty positive, nice guy. But I think that it was, you're right. Like she did do a lot. I knew she had done that steel vote because I have a steel vote in my own pocket and thought, you idiot, you should have used yours. Like,
Okay.
And so that's really why I asked. You're right. I did think she was a threat. I wanted her to talk about it. And I think she could have got more votes if she had talked about it a little more. But you know, it's all good.
Cool.
And now I'm going to go back into my marvelous house.
Well, thank you, Nick.
Bye, Nick.
Bye, y'all.
All right. So I'm going to go on to our next person in fifth place, Matt. So I have two questions for you. My first question is, are you shocked to learn that you were selected as our fan favorite? Did you think you had a chance, or what were you thinking there?
Sorry.
I don't. What are you laughing at, Brooke? I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, I figured people would vote for me. They guess they voted for me, and
Smoke. It's all
and
smoke.
I guess they voted for me, and I guess I was everybody's favorite.
All right.
Case closed.
All right, moving on. Who do you feel most blindsided by during the game, the whole game, and why?
Say that one more time. Who I blindsided or who blindsided me?
No, who do you feel most blindsided by during the whole game?
Oh, I think Chris for sure. He had an alliance with Sandra, and I figured that Sandra would be pretty tight with that, and at that moment, we really thought we had the votes to get Allie out, who, we knew at that moment in time was the biggest threat, and so that's why we went after her, and obviously she ended up winning it. And in it, we casted all the votes. We thought we had it. If Sandra would have stayed with us, we knew we would have had it. And I guess by Sandra blindsiding him really threw the game for that. So that was definitely a big one. I think that was a turning point.
All right, thank you. So going on to sixth place, Sandra. So obviously, Sandra, coming into the game, you had probably the biggest target on your back. Let's just be honest. Are you surprised that you made it? Oh, Gabby's here, everybody. Gabby has landed. Sandra, are you surprised that you made it all the
Hey
way?
guys, I'm sorry I'm late.
Hey, Gabby. I'll come back to you in a second. Sandra, so are you surprised that you made it all the way to final six?
Oh yeah, because I've never made the jury before. Either I win or I get voted out. That's it. There's no jury for me. There's no nothing else. So the fact that I made it that far, I was over the moon about it.
Okay. So how do you feel? How do you feel about the way you played, and what did you think about the jury experience?
I love the jury experience. As a matter of fact, I voted for Allie precisely because she had won so many individual immunities. I felt that she was the most well-rounded player out of everyone out there. So I know earlier she didn't know why, but that's why I voted for her. And it's true, if Nick would have been in the mix, because he ended up being my alliance. I only aligned with Nick after hearing Charles talking about me that morning. That's when I started to panic. So I wouldn't have aligned with Nick had I not heard Charles talking out loud. So that's where all of that drama came from. My alliance was with Chris. I think we talked for like 10 minutes before we went to sleep the night before, like, you got me, I got you. Okay. And that was it, Matt. So if there was a stronger bond between me and Chris and a bigger, like, we got to stick together no matter what, I might have not been paying attention. I don't know.
Yeah, I think words are just words in this, right?
On Survivor, they are. I mean, but me and him, it was just like, you got my back. Yeah, I got your back. You got my back. Okay. But if when you're in an alliance, if the two people don't agree, like coming after Allie, then that would, because I felt like I was with Allie, so that wasn't going to work for me. It wasn't good for my game, but that's another story because it was more than what it really was, I don't mean to confuse you.
The one who won.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But Matt, my perspective is that you were with Brooke and you were with Allie. So why attach?
That was ours too, Sandra. That was ours too, honey.
No, yeah, but I'm saying he's saying that if I would have stayed with Chris and got rid of Allie, what about him being with Brooke and Allie and him wanting to get rid of Allie? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, it would have set me up real nice.
It was a double standard. Like, you want me to, okay, I don't know, maybe, did I lose track of what I'm trying to say here?
Oh no. It's all smoke, Sandra. It's all smoke.
Yeah, I
Then
think
it would have been,
Question.
it would have been
Um,
Sandra and Chris
my
versus me
original
and Meredith.
question was, how did you enjoy the jury experience? But we're good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was
Okay.
great. It
Uh,
was great.
Perfect. So, what was your favorite moment of the game and why?
When I won that individual immunity, because I've never won immunity in the 6 times and 166 days that I've played Survivor. That was it.
Perfect. All right. Charles, you are up next in 7th place. So during the game, you consistently stayed quiet and quiet in terms of game moves and under the radar. Do you regret not making more moves, or do you feel like you played the game the best of your ability?
Well, it's a loaded question. I mean, if I had to play around again, it'd be completely different. But I went into this never watching an episode of Survivor. I didn't know how this game was played. I didn't understand the alliances. I didn't understand any of that kind of stuff. So like, I didn't know how to talk, or, then you started seeing people backstabbing each other, and you just kind of sat back and were trying to observe as long as you could. And I mean, the only time I started being more vocal, I knew at that round it was going to be me or somebody else. Like it was my time. So I was like, all right, let's just create some chaos here or try to find somebody that's telling half the truth that I can trust. So.
Okay. Another question for you is, you seem to have this intense rivalry with Gabby. Do you think that you, was she your biggest threat? Because y'all both kind of always played the middle. That was the biggest thing, is you and Gabby always were in the middle. You were swing votes. I just was curious if that you considered her your biggest competition because of that intense rivalry, or if who else would you consider your biggest competition in the game?
See, I didn't think I had one personally against Gabby. I mean, I didn't know her and all of that, but like I knew like near the end it was getting down to what I figured they would side with Gabby versus me. So I was trying to save. But in my defense, Gabby said she was voting with me and Matt. So that was when Sandra's name got brought up. But no, I don't know if I considered anyone a threat because I knew I was outskilled. Like there, I mean, as I was getting near the end, I was like, all right, there's no way I'm going to be able to keep up in some of these competitions or stuff like that. So, I don't know if I had threat. I did want to last longer than Matt just because I know him, so I lost that there.
So now, if we're looking at the original Comanche tribe, we had the really emotional fall of Jamie leaving the game. But Charles, you were technically, if we look at a jury standpoint, you were the first Comanche to go. Is there a particular reason why you think you were the first one to go out of the other 6 that were, or other 5 remaining, or?
Okay. I would say one, the relationships, the prior relationships played a lot in this. You got a North Myrtle Beach crew there. They ain't going to turn on each other so early. So from that perspective, I'm either the odd man out, the weakest link, or just, someone to cut, trim the fat.
All right. Well, thank you, Charles. Do you have any, last question, do you have any regrets in the game?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
No, but like I said, it'd be fun now that I know how the process works and all that to run it again. And so that, I guess that would be a regret. Wish I had knocked out a season or 2 before coming onto the show.
Okay. Well, thank you. Brooke Vu. How are you doing, Brooke?
Doing great. How are you, Shaw?
I'm good. So even though, now, okay, I will say in a lot of different platforms that you can find this season of Survivor, you were consistently a fan favorite. Why how does it make you feel that so many people were a fan of you and watching you? Why do you think the fans are so drawn to you?
Well, I'm flattered. I I think, yeah, I mean, to be a fan favorite, that's like a compliment in itself. Even on our small local level, I think that's really cool. Especially for me, not actually being within that North Myrtle Beach clique. And then also maybe that kind of helped because I was kind of I have a different pond of fans. And then also I think with like my marketing background, I'm able to kind of direct fan votes from elsewhere. Also, coming in late in the game, the only thing I asked of non-players was for them to vote for me. I think a lot of people knew that contestants were playing because of the fundraiser, and since I wasn't able to participate in that aspect, I was the only thing I really did for you was advertise that this is the awesome thing that you put on, Shaw. And so I think that's really what connected with people.
Yes, thank you again for that. And so another question is somebody that was in this from the beginning, Maritza Plattis, who ended up getting really sick the week before and had to drop out. Brooke, you were an alternate along with Harrison. You were very, very passionate about getting to know people in 2 days. How do you think, in the moment, did you think that was going to be a very smart move, or do you think that you could have been seen as coming off very strong very quickly?
I never considered it being strong. I felt myself at a disadvantage since everyone got to spy on everyone else for all those weeks leading up. I was coming in as they didn't know anything about me. So I knew there was that fun fact component. So I knew that everyone knew something about somebody except for me and except for Harrison. So I just made it my goal to reach out to everyone and just say, hi, this is me. I'm playing with you. And then leave it to the other contestants. Do you want to extend that olive branch or not? So not forced upon saying like, hey, I want to make an alliance with you also, and you and you and you. Just, hey, I'm playing. Nice to meet you. And so it wasn't so forceful. And so that I just chose to do that because I was the only one without a video, and Harrison.
Okay.
But it could have been, something to bite you in the butt later if if you're the last one in, first one out, or coming on too strong.
Yeah. So one of the biggest episodes is when Cindy practically voted herself out by saving you. Whether that was one of the dumbest moves ever or a very heroic move, the world may never know. But my question to you, Brooke, is did you know that Cindy was going? Now, at this point, I will say Cindy had 2 idols. Cindy could have played one for herself in addition to Brooke, and she could have made a big move and got Sandra out because Brooke cast her vote for Sandra. Sandra saved herself by casting her vote for Cindy. So my question to you, Brooke, is did you know that Cindy was going to play her idol for you? And if not, how do you feel knowing that she eliminated herself by trying to save you?
So I did not know. My reaction is genuine in the show. I did not know that she was ever going to use any idol for anyone other than herself. Being sneaky is part of the show, being selfish is part of the show. I would have never expected another contestant, even though it's not for money, to give up their immunity for another player. So I thought that was crazy that she did that. So if any of the cameras caught my face, that was genuine. I did know she had the idols because I was actually there when Allie took the bag and opened it. So I knew what she had by just overhearing what was going on behind me. But we never talked about it. We actually, like our tribe of people before the merge, never talked about what we had and who we would save if we had this or any strategy like that, which I think might have been helpful because at least it would have been transparent. But at the same time, you don't want to give away what you have. So that would have been Cindy's move to either say, hey, I want to share this information with you, and therefore like create this like trust between 2 people or 3 people or whoever. But that was never established. So totally new to me that was going to happen, and meant a lot because I knew how much she wanted to play, and I knew why she was playing. She's a mom, and she wanted to prove that she could win, do something very spontaneous and out of the norm for her, be out of her comfort zone and still succeed. So to give up her vote and be the first one gone did mean a lot, because I actually made that personal connection with her and knew how much she wanted to win. So that did mean a lot.
So through the entire game, it seemed there for a hot second at the beginning, you, Nikki, and Cindy had this trio going, but when Nikki was blindsided, it seemed that you and Cindy were very close throughout the entire game. So you were with Chris's unexpected departure, you were at Ponderosa with Cindy alone. You know, you pretty much played the entire game with her up until Matt and Chris decided to blindside y'all. So is that relationship, do you plan to continue talking with Cindy? Do you think, that was probably your closest ally in the game? How's that? What are your thoughts?
I think I spent the most time with Cindy, so that relationship is solid. I still talked to Cindy after we left the island, and we kind of got to talk it over. And also after we were both voted out and both on the jury and taken to Ponderosa, we got to talk about the whole thing and go like, what were you thinking? But I think both of us, I think, came in with the same mentality that we're here for fun. And so I don't think either of us were really being analytical with any of our decisions. So I think that might have come into play too. I think looking back on it, like if I were to do anything different, I kind of was quiet in our little group that was slowly shrinking. And so I had a lot of choices of like whose name I could write down. And that was kind of a lot of pressure for me, because one vote can really tip the scales in someone else's favor, which I found out to be true, especially watching the season back and seeing like who voted for who. And so great relationship with Cindy, and if we ever get to play again, that I'd love to also be her ally if we ever come back.
Cool. Now, one more thing. Before when I gave you the go ahead, you're going to be participating. Had you seen a lot of Survivor or not really?
Yes, I grew up watching the show, so I knew Sandra really well, and I had watched Chris's season before, so I knew who they were. And I think it's like someone else said it, that I think it was Allie. She went in the bag because she didn't know how you had designed the game, what season or what era of Survivor were you replicating the game to be. So I had asked Sandra loads of questions before we started, and her opinion on different things. And I wish I could have been on her team, because I think I would have gotten so much, like she would have been so annoyed by me. Like I think someone said I was annoying. I think I would have been way more annoying and continued to talk to her. But I think you guys had a lot of extra time on your hands, so maybe it would have like made the time go faster. But I love Survivor, and I had a great time here with you guys, and I thought it reflected the show so well, and that it was just a fantastic experience. So thank you.
Yeah. When we came back from day one, all of the volunteers and the first two jurors, we were all sitting around the fire, and I didn't realize, and I think when everybody says, you think of who really knows this game, because most of y'all, even though you didn't watch a lot of the show, technically most of y'all had like 5 months to at least watch a little bit. Something that I found that was interesting was how everybody says, okay, Sandra knows the game, Chris knows the game, Nick knows the game. Nobody talks about how well Brooke knew this game inside and out. I mean, Brooke, for a solid 2 hours, we had a really long conversation about all of the stuff that was happening in the game. And so I do want that to be known as Brooke was very well in the know of Survivor and analyzes it. So thank you again, Brooke. I think our only representative here from the pre-merge is Harrison, who is our first boot. Harrison, like Brooke, you were before the game, the week before the game, we played on a Saturday and a Sunday. Brooke came in on a Wednesday, the Wednesday before, and Harrison came on in the Thursday before. So he had 2 days, and I texted him in the evening. So he really had a day and a half to get prepared for this. And you had some outside factors that limited how long you could be in the game. So you were always going to be a pre-merge person. But with you being such a short notice in the game and outside factors contributing to your early elimination, if you were given a second chance, what would you do differently to ensure that you went farther in the game?
I probably would have watched a little bit of, probably would have binged a season of Survivor, knowing less than 36 hours before I actually have to report to camp, is a little tough. I haven't seen a Survivor episode since I was 6 or 7 years old. So, it's been quite a while. I think, so I probably would have watched a little bit of that. I would have gotten to know the other contestants a little bit. Shaw, really waited till the last minute to ask me. I know I was his one of his first considerations, but really left it till the last second there. But I mean, I kind of enjoyed the experience of going into it, not really with any expectations and kind of just going with the flow. I'm always down for a good time. It's the reason I said yes. And I'm not saying that my early departure was a community decision, but it was quite convenient in the situation that I was in.
Gotcha. So if you were to play again in the future, what do you think you could do differently? First, I'll say the red tribe. I don't agree that it was the blue tribe had a physical advantage. I think they were pretty even. But you guys did lose 3 times in a row. So I just want to hear your thought process. If you were to play again, what would you work on more, your social or strategic game?
I think it's a really good question. I mean, I think social and strategic are kind of the one and the same. And I really, being voted out about 2 hours after I got there, it's tough to be strategic in that time zone. I guess I would have, stood on the opposite side of when we were picking groups, in hopes that I get picked by the other team or something. Obviously, they were the more physical superior for the challenge, at least the one that I was there for. So, being on the right team always helps. But I do one thing that I do regret, and I don't know if this answers your question, is having to leave so early and being voted out so early. I really struggled with some FOMO over the day and a half that I missed out on. Those are really close relationships. I haven't said a word since I got on the call. I don't feel like I don't even know anybody that I played with. So, having some of that those communal ties would have been really nice to take advantage of.
So when you were in the game, who would you consider you were closest with? Because at first we saw that it was kind of boys versus girls, and then you left, and then Nikki, whatever happened with Nikki happened. So who would you consider you were closest with? All the guys, or is there a specific person?
It was so hard, we got back to our camp and we immediately started to set everything up. But I think we worked as a really good team. I don't think that I was necessarily close to anybody or closer to anybody than anybody else. But I guess naturally men are impressed by fire. So we all kind of gravitated towards that. So, I was definitely have that common connection with them, but I don't necessarily think that I was closer to anybody else than, and maybe therein lies the problem. Maybe therein lies the issue, why I got voted out pretty early. I should have possibly taken that time to make some of those closer connections.
All right, thank you, Harrison. I'm going to go back to Gabby really quick because we were going in order here. So Gabby, one of the things, I don't know if well, I know I didn't point it out, but at the final tribal council, again, we saw Chris had to go home early. His vote, if you've seen his season, which some of you may have, he won. He made pretty much the reason why he won the game is because in his fire making challenge, he won immunity. So he was going to the final three, similar to what Allie did, but he gave up his individual immunity to someone else to compete against someone in a fire making challenge to have a big move on his resume. So Gabby, that was what your one vote to win the game was from Chris, because he found you to be very strong, and that's the only, I wouldn't say the only reason he won the game, but that was his biggest reason he won the game. And so that's why he voted for you. How do you feel winning against Nick, who talked so much crap to you before the fire making challenge, and you completely dominated and he didn't even get a flame? So what do you have to say about that?
So I kind of just grew up in a town where I had to prove people wrong all the time. So, going into the fire making competition, he was talking all his big talk, and I was just sitting back. I was like, don't let him get in your head. Like, you can do this. And that's exactly what I did. I went and showed everybody that, like, hey, I can do this. And I did. I might have gotten a burn and a little scar in the process, but I was just happy to be able to prove him wrong, especially.
So we saw at the Blue Tribe's only pre-merge tribal council, there were about 3 people who were really ready to get out of the game, and you were one of them. So once you realized you weren't voted out, Jamie was voted out, and you knew you were staying there, you were very open about how hesitant you were to compete. Were you happy that you kept going, or do you still regret something?
No, I was actually very happy that I kept going. At first, I was hesitant because, I was in the woods and I was without my mom. And every night before I go to bed, I had to give her a hug and a kiss. And I wasn't able to do that. But, Miss Allie and Miss Smith, they took care of me and made sure I was good. So everything was all right. So I'm glad I kept going because I made it pretty far, I would say.
Good. So, like we said, you and Brooke S tied. You were both each received 1 vote, and so you're technically both got second place. What would you have done differently in the game in the future if you were to play again, or just looking back at how you played this game? What would you have done differently that maybe would have given you more of a chance to win?
Well, I don't think I would have done anything differently because I think I played the game very well. I went in with an alliance and I stayed loyal to that alliance. People didn't understand that. They thought that I was backstabbing them or I was backstabbing, but I really wasn't, because I was loyal to the first person I said I was going to be loyal to. And I don't think people understood that. If they did, then they might have would have voted for me.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Gabby. That concludes my portion of my questioning. So thank you. We all got through it. Yay. So now we're going, I'm allotted a little bit of time. Y'all know who Meredith is. She did all of the challenges, my co-host, my partner in crime. And then Cam is the one who edited 95% of the show. And Jordy, you saw briefly on the second day, she helped as well. They have a few questions that they want to ask before we wrap it up here. I'll let y'all take the floor.
I'll go first. First, I want to say thanks to all you guys for playing. If you saw any of those pictures from camp, you know what an awesome thing you did for all those kids. So that was just like the whole point in the first place. And so it was really amazing to have that. I'm still waiting on the blooper reel. And I just kind of felt like we became instantly like this weird little family over the course of 2 days, and a lot of that's kind of carried on through the last 3 months. So that's been kind of neat. My big thing was I wanted to know, what was your favorite part of the event? Like, what'd you really, really enjoy about it?
Well,
That-
can I just give a real quick shout out to the Island and River Park or River Island Adventures for having us. That place is amazing. It's gorgeous back there. If you ever have a chance to, if you're watching this and you ever have a chance to go, I highly suggest it.
Yeah.
They have some glamping tents over there, and they have some really cool activities on their, after you take a short little boat ride. Couldn't recommend that more. And congrats to Shaw to making that all work with the owner Jeff over there. It was a really good connection for this event.
And I did, Harrison, notice your name when you came back in. That's really cool. The champ. Dig it. But yeah, what was your favorite part?
All right. Well, I will call on people. So, Brooke Vu, why don't you go first?
I loved how, like I said before, it really replicated the show. I thought every decision, all the planning that went into it, we weren't a part of that, but we just, got to be the guinea pigs at the end. But that's just like a reflection of everything you guys did. So just thank you for every detail that you guys thought of before we even got there. I think, there were moments of stress and, like what is going on? But I think that happens with any project or show. I've been in a lot of them. There's going to always be something, but the show has to go on, and it did. And I think everyone had a good time and left with smiles on their faces. So, like right before the rain, it was great. And I think that just my favorite part was just all of you that made it happen. And so that includes contestants and all the staff that I think were amazing.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I noticed is we tried to play, we're super fans. So I put the very first idol under the Sandra sit-out bench and no one found it. And I was like, that's the first place I would look, it was under that space. And so, what else?
I already asked Sandra, so so Matt, why don't you go ahead?
They all to echo what they already all said. The venue was amazing. So, and the night, the fire in the middle, and it was just very authentic, which is cool. I would say another great part was the food auction. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. It might have made it not so tough to eat. We only had a 24-hour period, so it's not like anybody starved or anything, but having the food auction itself was good because the ribs were amazing. And so I need to figure out where you got them so I can go eat more ribs.
All right.
I had told Shaw once it was over, as I was driving home, like everything that I thought was great and things he needed to tweak for the next season. I can't remember what all I told Shaw, but I left there thinking, wow, that actually was well put together and really close to what Survivor would be, not on a monetary scale, because of course Survivor has gazillions of dollars, but for a 2-day event, it was really well put together. And I told Shaw that immediately after leaving the camp.
Yes, thank you. Gabby?
Hold on. Okay, I think my favorite part would definitely have to be the sitting outside around the fire. We were kind of just all talking, like not talking game, but then also I liked when I went to go fall asleep, people thought that I was asleep, and I heard everything they were saying. So it's like I just had liked that people thought like I wasn't listening, and like just being able to watch from a distance or listen from a distance. And it really showed like how like, oh, these people could be trying to get to know you, but then like on the other hand, they're also trying to get you out. I thought that was really cool. That was my favorite part.
Perfect. Charles?
Mouth.
Yeah, I can't stay quiet anywhere. But to echo Gabby, but for a completely different reason. I think it was just sleeping on the ground that night by the fire, because you're just like, when in my life will I ever do this again? Like, it was just like that. I'm with strangers, sleeping with no blanket, pillow, nothing, just on the ground. And
After those sugars, never.
oh, phew. Right. But you know, that was probably it. It was just because it's such a unique experience. I mean, I know some of us know each other more than not, but I mean, I didn't really know anyone, and you're just with strangers, and you're just, like you said, you're so close together for such a short amount of time. And like, for the most part, I think it was really cool that everyone had a good sense of humor. Well, I know we weren't tired enough, but like, we all knew we were backstabbing each other, and nobody took it way too personal and made it, you know, really awkward. So I think that was just fun. It was good spirit among us all.
All right. And last, Brooke Smith.
I definitely, just like everybody said, the relationships that you got to build with everybody is just really neat. You get to be in a situation with other people that you're experiencing the same thing is really awesome. But the water hole and the water barrel was really cool because it was like real, like it was the devious spot, and then the cameras on you was kind of neat. The drone flying around you and the cameras, it was like, wow, I'm kind of am a little celebrity here. So that was really, really cool experience.
Perfect. Do you have any more questions, Meredith? Or are you good?
No, somebody else can go.
Okay, Cam.
Everybody's pretty much asked the questions that I want to ask. So I just kind of have statements because, like I said, I've been getting to like watch you all through this footage and been like, oh, I really like these people. These are awesome people. So it's kind of statements for everyone, I guess, and then I'm good. Sandra, you know, I talked to you before we started this. You know, I admire you. Watched Survivor since season 1. Grew up as a Survivor child to where I am now. So it's just an honor to get to even speak to you. It's just amazing to me. You're amazing. Brooke Vu, you are awesome. I thought that you really popped on camera. You were always, that's, I think, the reason like fans reacted to you, because you were always sunny, always like on. And I think that your energy came through and you were always fun in the footage. Brooke S., you ran that thing as far as I'm concerned, watching that footage. Yes, Allie won a bunch of competitions, but like you were strategy queen. You and Sandra were kind of like back and forth, but even Sandra was letting you run a lot of this because she realized that you were kind of in charge. So I think that had you had a better final tribal, I think you could have won. I just want people to know that. I think I even had that little recap on Nick's comment because I was like, no, or is he going to get away with that? You did awesome. I need you to know that. And you were freaking funny too. I think it's no one's talked about enough. Like at the auction, all of you were hilarious. For the record, all of you. And then Brooke, your commentary when you feel like the Walmart cup or something, Dollar General cup, like some of your comments that were just so freaking funny. Matt, you hustled in this. It was hilarious watching you, like when there'd be like live tribals and stuff and you like run back and forth between the groups and then like the girls would be yelling at you and you're like, no. Like you were really jumping around and playing. You weren't just like, you were kind of quieter. Like I think your demeanor is just naturally kind of calmer, but like you were playing the game the whole time. So I think it's commendable for like how you were able to come in from the disadvantage and kind of work your way up to where you did. So I think that's pretty awesome. And then Charles, you always had fun. You always had a smile on your face. You were always laughing. And I think that's just awesome in itself. And you would come up there and you did like your little vote where you pretend to like, I don't know if I'm going, and people would laugh at you the whole time. Like that was just a cool energy to have. Gabby, I think if you hadn't tried to quit at the beginning, you also could have won. I think that that's what people held against you because I cracked up that tribal council where you're like, oh, I'm going to be staying the night. I guess I'm going to win now. Like that was so bad. I want to say that you said that and you just decided to like go in and you were like, there was one challenge where you and Brooke S were running. Like I had footage in there. Y'all were like sprinting in this thing. And I was like, that's not people just participating. That's people like hustling. So you know, you really put the effort in there and to be so young and to get to where you did. And like, I think they even said the speech that you gave, Allie was like, well done. Like, great job. You did awesome too. And I honestly have to say, Gabby, I wish that we had more footage of you to show because you were I actually feel like you were a lot like Brooke. You had a very positive presence. And I wish we could have been able to show that more on the early stages. We just didn't have the footage, but yeah, awesome. Harrison, you were funny in like your 15 seconds that you were on the show. And I think that you actually could have been really good. I actually think that you had some personality too that would have popped if you were in more episodes. So I was actually sad that you were the first one out, because what we had of you footage wise, like, man, he would have been a good character for this. So that's all my thoughts. Y'all were awesome. It was an honor to get to edit this together and put it out there for y'all, because y'all really played the game and y'all are a bunch of some great people. So that's all.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much. Thank you
Ken.
for what
Thank
you did.
you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Jordy, did you have anything that you wanted to ask, or are you good?
Hi. I just want to say, I know I wasn't there very long for some medical reasons, but I had a great time kind of planning out the challenges and everything with Shaw beforehand. And as well planned as we tried to be, we were still kind of winging it. So the fact that it went so well was because of all of you and how you just kind of took it and ran with it, and worked through any mishaps that may have occurred. So we do want to thank you for kind of being our guinea pigs and giving us feedback. And I look forward to seeing where this goes from here.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, it's 9:01. We're 1 minute off, but thank you all for tuning in. We had 8 people. I'm pretty proud of that. On the show, you're contractually obligated to participate in this, but I'm very proud that we got that many people here. So thank you again. Again, if there's 11 episodes. I'm going to consider this like the 12th episode, just called The Reunion. But if you want to share the playlist, the link, the many links that are in the group chat, it is there. So thank you again for participating. And does anybody have anything else they'd like to say before I stop the recording?
Thank you, Shaw, and the rest of the crew.
Yep. Thanks to
Yes,
everybody.
thank
It was a
you.
wonderful experience.
Yes, thank y'all.